Welcome to Everything But the Kitchen Dink, the podcast where we discuss all things pickleball with your hosts, Rob and Andy.
Welcome back to Everything But the Kitchen Dink.
Welcome back, everybody.
I hope you're all well. I hope you're having a great week.
We're not.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in the next episode.
Welcome back. We're now sponsored by Pickleball People. Can you
see
enough? Yeah. But we're sponsored by Pickleball People for all the best gear.
Yeah, go over to their website and have a look.
Yeah.
Just to say, we've got a great interview coming up today.
It's really exciting because it really shows that something is happening in the UK. And I want Americans, if you're in America or anywhere in the world, I want you to listen to this because it's good for you to know that things are happening around the world, and that's good for America. America doesn't want to just be, they want, everybody wants tournaments with everyone coming from everywhere. And I think this is a great step forward.
Yes, and all will be explained in the interview. But just before we get into the interview, I just want to say a recap on the last episode, which was referee Ron Ponder.
Yeah.
Now I know it was a great episode, and I learned a hell of a lot from Ron. And if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to it, because I think it's vital that people know how tough referees do actually have it, and when they're on court next time, to be quite respectful to your referee, because it's not an easy job for anyone. So have a listen to that. It's a really good interview.
Yeah.
But moving forward to today's interview, it's all very exciting. Pickleball's really taking off in the UK now, and I feel that this could be another stepping stone for pickleball in the UK. So have a listen, and we'll be back. I know you just want to listen to us.
Yeah,
so
we'll be back next week. We've got so much to talk about. There'll be a tiny bit of moaning.
Just a tiny bit?
Just a tiny smidge. It's been, we've had very interesting weeks, to say the least.
We have.
We're still learning. We're I don't even know now. We're 3 years into our pickleball journey, and we're still learning.
And we're also playing a team event this weekend, so we'll give you a debrief on that as well, because this is an important one. It gets us to the finals,
the grand final for the best teams around the country.
Yeah, so we're excited to try and get there. Yeah. So we'll give you a debrief on that. Anyway, here's Ellie Green. Have a listen. Hi and welcome, Ellie Green, to the show.
Welcome, Ellie.
Hi.
Hi, Ellie.
Next big thing. No pressure, but the next big thing to come in UK pickleball.
Well, this is very interesting. I'm actually quite excited to talk about this. So, first of all, Ellie, just introduce yourself. Tell us a bit about yourself, what you do, and where you're going with this pickleball. ONE Pickleball, it's called, isn't it?
It is called ONE Pickleball, and that was like 4 questions in one. So
sorry. First of all, let's start on you. Let's tell us a bit about yourself.
Let me go to the first one. So I'm Ellie Green. What was the second question? What do I do? That's actually quite a challenging question, even though it should be a simple question. ONE Pickleball is a startup company that's family owned. So my dad, Richard Green, and his partner, Charlie Burt, are the co-founders who birthed ONE Pickleball a year before I came on, which was only a year ago. So it's still very fresh. I'd say we've only really been live for just about a year. Okay. I came on to do social media and all of their marketing, and starting to work within their brand partnerships and sponsorships to really just assist with their crazy vision, which has taken so many forms, which we could talk about. And as it's kind of gone on, and I've fallen in love with both the sport and what we're trying to create, I've kind of been like, can I take more responsibility? And now, effectively, I do about 10 different jobs, which is probably quite stupid of me, because I'm always frantically like doing this. Literally so many hats. So I'm doing like athlete liaison, brand partnerships, social media management, event producing, post production, live streaming.
So what's your background then, to know how to do all this? Because I know we just spoke briefly, and you told me you had a theatre background. So
I do have a theatre background. So all my life I've wanted to do musical theatre. Literally very cliche. Day dot, came out the womb, jazz hands, and we're always like, there's literally home footage, and it's always like, Mum, put the camera on me. Like, it was always just me, unfortunately, was just always performing. And then I, did my education, blah, blah, and then went to drama university, auditioned, trained professionally, and then was working professionally for 3 years. Within the industry, yeah. I never made it to the West End.
Okay.
But I did do arena tours, and the last job I worked on made it to the Apollo. So that was a really great.
I've been in Coronation Street a few times.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So here we go, fellow artists.
Exactly. Jazz hands.
Yeah. Love that. But yeah, and then last January is when I did the Apollo, and I just felt a bit like stagnant and stuck within the industry. Lots of shows. I mean, this isn't very pickleball related, so I'll keep that.
Don't worry. We like to build a background.
Oh, well, let's talk about theatre. The industry unfortunately hasn't recovered quite a lot after COVID. Shows were only running for about 12 weeks. And just as from a personal standpoint was like, I want to sink my teeth into something a bit more. And yeah, I started kind of trying to use my creativities in other ways. I have 2 younger brothers. We are a very competitive household.
Okay, I can imagine.
It's nasty, but like fun and fiery. But it get like Christmas games, lethal. And we've always grown up with lots of sport. So I don't know. I just kind of weirdly casually started doing events for like a gym dating app. Just kind of randomly came up, and I just threw a friend of a friend, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll just do a couple of your events, a couple of your posts. And then I was like, oh, I really quite like it. Like, it's a nice channel of doing something creative that feels people based, that is a team that's harnessing something. And so I started working there, like with them, then a bit more permanently, taking on more of their events, taking on more of their social media and marketing, started doing courses alongside it, and did that for a couple of months, maybe like 5 months freelancing. And then my dad was at a point, and I'd been speaking about it with him over loads of family dinners, when he was like, I'm coming out of retirement to do this pickleball thing. And I was like, yeah, all right, good luck. Just very poor dad, wherever he is.
For 1 second, your dad, was he the one that was the pickleballer in the family that introduced you to it?
So my dad started playing pickleball about 7 years ago.
Oh, okay.
When he started playing, we all as a family were like,
yeah, what's this?
Pickleball. And he was like, it's kind of badminton, and it's kind of table tennis meets tennis with a ball and a bat. And I was like, honestly, I think you've gone into some sort of midlife crisis.
Yeah, that's our families now.
Just thinking, because I think until you really have played it or watched it or understood it, which it was unfortunately, sorry, Dad, not bothered about trying to understand at the time, was like, okay, you do you, look, it's making you happy. And he goes to Florida quite a lot, and he just fell in love with it. And then eventually was like, you know what? I think there's a gap in the market in the UK, and I'd really like to do something. And I was like, okay. And then he'd been working on it for a year, discussing like where the gaps were, what he could do, how could he bring some of the flavor of America over the fact that it wasn't super spectator driven here, or trying to make it watchable, trying to give it that entertainment aspect to pickleball, get more people's teeth sunk in. What can we do? What can we do? And then he kind of came to me and was like, I know that you're not really doing musical theatre, and you're quite avid with the social media, which he didn't really understand at the time, or the capacity for what it could do. And he was like, could you just help us like soft launch it and just see if there is a response? And then it just kind of naturally all spiraled into now what ONE Pickleball is, and hopefully will become in just under 4 weeks' time when we put this bad boy on. So,
what's the start with the beginning of the idea and where your dad wanted it to be, and just explain to the listeners exactly what it is.
Sure. So what it kind of like, when the idea was birthed about 2 years ago, it was birthed in the sense, such a weird way to describe it, sorry. It was birthed, and the idea was kind of created where Richard and Charlie felt that there was a gap in the fact that, in comparison to America, pickleball wasn't currently entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
And that he was like, I want people to want to watch it. I want it to be, you know, like how it's done in America, like golf, like ESPN. Like I want to help, if I can, grow the sport within the UK market so people are actually talking about it. Like now that's what's happening with paddle. So he was like, I don't know why it isn't like other events where there's like live music and big crowd energy. And I was like, yeah, it's a really good point. I don't know why that hasn't been adopted yet. Maybe it's because it's niche, and we were having all these different conversations. And so at the time, then he was very interested in the competitive side of the sport and trying to build or assist in building like the professional athlete or the competitors within the UK, the next generation. Because at the time, when, you know, 7 years worth of playing, it was more in his age demographic. Yeah. He's like, how can I introduce that to younger people? And like, I know that in 5 years' time, the sport will be big. And how do we get younger people in it? Or where's the next generation of players? Do they even know about it? So he's like, I'm really interested in the competitive side of the sport.
Exactly what we've been thinking.
Yeah.
And there is also a perception, even amongst pickleballers, that don't really know who all the pros are in America, that it's a boring sport to watch. But, you know, I mean, cricket can be boring, but if you're a cricket fan, it's boring, you know.
Golf can be boring. And unless you're then, you know, an avid golf player or watch golf, live, you know, breathe golf, you're not probably excited by golf. But totally true. And then I suppose that's kind of what, I don't know how avid you are with the golf world, but probably what you stopped using that word, live golf, because they were like, we need a reason to get people excited about golf. And darts, the same, like the crowd energy is assisted now very much part of like the brand image and whatever of darts. So he was like, can we be the darts version of pickleball without rowdy pub culture? And so it started with doing a competitive finals, which was still going to be the date in which it is now, it was going to be over 2 days, 26 and 27. And he and Charlie were going to do kind of like a big festival alongside it. Right. And I think then they realized that actually in time, they'd love to do that, but as a pilot launch, probably a little ambitious when we haven't established who ONE Pickleball is. So I kind of came on and went, all right, let's just kind of realign what you're thinking is there. And now what we're doing is we've got, in 4 weeks' time, a competitive tournament with 40 of the best UK and European athletes competing for £10,000 prize pool, which is split over 5 divisions. Right. So first place will receive 1,200, second place 500, third place 300.
And it's a team event.
Pardon?
Is it a team event?
It is singles, doubles, and mixed doubles. So I mean,
it's not like an MLP style. It's, you know, it's a pairing. It's a professional pairing.
Yes, this is a knockout. This is a knockout tournament over 1 day.
Let me just ask you about how you decided who was going to play and how you came about choosing.
Yeah. So
did they have to qualify for anything, or was it just who they were?
Have to qualify. We wanted to do a qualifiers, but again, with just being quite new, we didn't have enough of a reach. Hopefully in future years we'll do qualifiers, because a huge part of ONE Pickleball, as I said when we were talking about the idea years before, was the next generation. So also alongside the main tournament, we're hosting an under 21 championship, and those finals will play on the main stage of the main tournament and get a spotlight and a feature. So hopefully going forward into future years, qualifiers is on the radar for sure.
You realise when you said you've got 40 of the top European players, obviously you've only got 38 of the top European players. I know I've had problems with my post and everything.
You got cut, you just missed on the list.
Do you know the story of my life?
Mine too. But it was so we have 2 ambassadors with ONE Pickleball, Molly Nags and Peter Hitchman. So they were definitely a big help also, but outside of their advice and or our suggestions and then their advice, we have a group of us together that act as a tournament collective, and then outside of that we have a couple of European and American connections to we have a European and American sponsor. So we did like just a big deep dive into a bunch of players, and we wanted to pick 40 athletes that reflected a couple of different things, one being fight, passion, 2, skill set, 3, we wanted to make sure that there was a split of UK and European players, and then 4, we wanted to also, I feel for us, when looking at pickleball being played across the UK and Europe, it's the same pool of people often playing each other. So we wanted to kind of have a couple of wild cards or next generation athletes. We've got Lauren Gosling, who's only 15. Wow. Ellie Tompkinson, who's only 17, versus people who are a little bit more like seasoned, who are on like the 30-32 end. Even I think we've got like Sally and Sarah, they're in the 65 end, all playing together, all in the same age bracket, all in the same skill bracket. It's just who's the best on the day, like very knockout competitive style tournament, just to give everyone a little bit of a different chance to play different people and challenge themselves and play new, fresh, exciting games. So it was also based on providing kind of like a selection of a pool of players that allowed us to also spotlight players who might not have had much of an opportunity yet or are up and coming versus people who are very much like in the game at the moment. So yeah, it was a bunch of different heads.
Okay, so just tell us what people can expect when they get there. I mean, are you going to have live music, DJs? Clowns,
What they can expect.
No, we're not there.
Are on sale, so feel free, everybody who's listening.
Where can people get the tickets from now?
On our website or on socials, there's a link to our Eventbrite.
You want to tell everyone what your website is?
It's onepickleball.co.uk.
Lovely.
Put it on the screen. But what they can expect is they'll arrive and it's kind of like free for all seating. It's bleacher style seating, and then there's like a panel of the gods, so they can also go up there, and they can come from play starts at 8:45 all the way through to 7:30, so they can come and dip in whenever. It's quite free.
And how many courts will it be, and where is it?
It is in Guildford at Surrey Sports Park, which is a cracking facility. It's a really great hub of it's sponsored by Sporting England, so it's such a good hub for sport across the board, which is an exciting venue to do it at. It's on the 26th of July, which is a Saturday. What was the other question?
What can people expect when they come?
So there will be DJs playing all day. Oh, 4 courts. That was your question. Sorry. 4 sponsored RSI Sports Group courts, like professional rollout, carpeted material, padded courts. So it is quite an exclusive knockout styled day. DJs will be blasting music. He's on the floor, like where we've situated it. He's kind of like facing opposite our commentators. So from a spectator point of view, you'll be very immersed within like the PA system of the day. There's a cafe, drinks hopefully will be on hand and flowing, and just great play. And then up until really when our 3rd and 4th placement matches into our final start, That will then transform into 2 centre courts. Lighting will change. There will be some music, kind of boxing style countdowns. There will be their hype songs, which we've asked all of the athletes to provide, so we can play their hype songs to get them energized, get the audience energized. They'll be live streamed, but also there'll be many interviews of players going on in the arena on the day, which will be exclusive to those who are in the arena at the time. We've got an MC who will dictate the crowd, hopefully get everyone excited. We want everyone to be cheering, clapping, so involved in the gameplay, updated scoring, refs, line judges. It should feel, we hope. This is all ultimately a pilot. We hope that it's
How many people
but, we want to just provide a different flavour and feel for pickleball, even if, you know, all the people who bought tickets, only 2 actually do show up. Those 2 will have a cracking time. And for us, it's all about just, as long as you've come and had a fun experience for both spectators and athletes, that's really important to us, both channels.
It's a learning experience for you first.
100%. And look, ultimately, we've designed something that should allow for spectators to have a fab time, athletes to have a new, fresh time, and also them compete for a great pool of a cash fund prize, which I think is really exciting for many of them competing just across all of the divisions, to be like, this is actually an award of your achievement to help, again, grow the credibility and validity of the professional side of the sport, and be like, yes, there is money in the sport. If we can help showcase that, then fab. So that's kind of what to expect. And then in the neighbouring arena, which will be open to everyone and spectators, we've got an under-21 championship running. And then when the finals of the main arena take part, on the backcourts, the finalists and the semi-finalists of the under-21s, their games will be played in the same arena. So filmed, broadcasted, and part of the environment, again, to spotlight some of who will be the next people competing on behalf of our country, hopefully. So
before we move on to a very good question, I've just got another question. You're not playing, but obviously I've often wondered, are players going to have their own song to come out with? And I've often, in my own mind, I've visualized what song I would have.
Oh, tell me right now, what is it?
Well, obviously I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts. But what would your song be?
I think mine would be Thunder, AC/DC.
Oh yes, good one.
Like, nice. I just love, like, I imagine in a stadium probably triple the size of what we've got, but like
mine would be Titanium.
Thunder. Yeah, Titanium would be a really good one.
Yeah,
that would be really
I'm going to keep thinking, because I don't think I'm quite there yet. And obviously,
I think ultimately it should reflect your personality, and you could have a little skip and a dance, and because everyone would be expecting something big, and then you'd redirect them.
Did you say you had a good question, though?
I had a good question. Now, obviously, a lot of our podcast is very similar. We're very aligned with you in that we want it to grow like America. We want it to become proper professional, where people don't have other jobs. But there is also, and this is around the world, but there is a lot of politics involved. I know we've got it a lot in the north. How did this sit with Pickleball England? Were they involved in this process, or is it totally independent? Because I do want to see us at the point where we have a professional circuit where America sits up and takes notice of the UK.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I'd love in the next couple of years of ONE Pickleball, and maybe I shouldn't say this because someone somewhere will hold me to it because it's the internet, but my goal and ambition in X amount of years' time would be to take, you know, the best of the UK and Europe and host some crazy tournament in America where we all compete against them and showcase that actually in the UK and Europe, we have some serious fire talent across, and athletes across the board. And they are athletes, you know, they are. And I, you know, would love for people to take that and be like, yeah, that is athleticism at its peak, especially singles. Gosh, you know,
Yeah,
I tried to play with my partner, and that's like not even, that's on a very amateur scale. So I'd love to be able to do something like that. In regards to Pickleball England, it is independent to Pickleball England. We haven't been in conversations growing it together, but Karen is attending. And a couple of Pickleball guests are attending. So it has been met with intrigue. Ultimately, we're not trying to do something that is competing with anyone. We want to coexist in the space. And in all honesty, we couldn't exist without all of the work in which Pickleball England have done for the sport. They're the mother of the sport here as such. We're just trying to do a different we're just trying to do something different, and I think it'll be really nice to have Karen support on the day. We're looking forward to seeing her there. Hopefully that will allow the north and the south to bridge a little bit.
Can we expect a ONE Pickleball purpose-built arena one day?
God. Look, the sky's the limit. Again, it's not going to happen in the next probably 5 years, but I'd love, like, that would be so cool. Yeah. Hopefully, who knows? I think what's really exciting is that whatever happens after the next 4 weeks is very new and exciting. We have a couple of plans in our head of where we want to take it. We would love to take it on this model on tour. Our sponsors, RSI Sports Group, would love us to host it in Belgium next year. Wow. So lots of different talks in the works, but I think, hey, who knows where we'll end up.
Are you looking at a once a year, or are you looking at doing ultimately a circuit where it's once a month maybe, and then
we'd like to do a bit more of a tour? Yeah, 100%. I think we'll always, it's all very dependent on how this goes, to be honest, but I have good feelings in my bones, but I think that it will ultimately do always one hosted in the UK. We are a UK-based team, UK-based company. That's where our roots are, and ultimately it's about growing the sport here. That's how it started. But we'll probably we want to enter the European circuit too. So there might always be one hosted here and then others in different months. So we'll see. But I mean,
America obviously has professional athletes. They have the MLP. They have so many different things, but we also have here sort of the birth of, I should say, professional. I don't consider it professional until people are doing it for a living. However, the birth of the professional tournament here was the Franklin Pickleball. Now you seem to be going head to head with them, and we also know it's a great league, but there's a lot of politics involved in that as well. Say what you want here. You know, we've had many emails over the last couple of years saying you shouldn't have said that. You know, we
have to ruffle some feathers sometimes.
Sorry,
I said yes, too right. Sometimes you do have to ruffle some feathers. Sometimes that's the only thing that allows.
I'm assuming that they've got one eye on you guys.
They do have one eye on us. Some of them are playing.
Yes, I was going to say, isn't Ed playing?
Ed is playing. He's playing with Stefan in men's doubles.
Yeah.
And I think that will be a nice way of also him being able to see what it is that we are doing in a capacity that isn't then like watching from the stands and then viewing with maybe not understanding like the full 360 picture, but because he's playing and he's like received a little tournament pack with all the breakdown of the day and the rules and what we're planning to do, then that also allows for him to be like, oh, okay, it is different here and similar there and whatever. So but yes, a couple of the other Premier League players are attending because some of them, you know, are absolutely fabulous. So
tell us who.
That's not what I was going to say. I'm going to get done for that now. But no, they are a great, and I think what they're doing is also great for the sport. So I think it's just everyone's got to help it to help it grow. If we all, I think a big thing for us is that if everyone remains stuck doing pickleball the same way, and this is maybe where you'll get bad emails, but if everyone's stuck doing pickleball the same way together as a collective, we can't grow it. If everyone's doing partnerships or sponsorships or collaborations that don't have monetary value and are product sponsors or things like that, then there's actually no money coming into the sport, which caps us all. And it is all about, like, everybody has such a different, pickleball is huge. There's so many different avenues, whether you're building courts, building a club, doing a social, whether you want to do something more competitive, a Premier League, or blah, blah, blah. And there is space for everyone to do all of those things, and that is what helps us grow it. But at some point we have to try different avenues or do different things or do it bigger or try and drive funds and money into the ground of pickleball for it to explode. So I think, I mean, that is kind of what we want to try and do, is just provide a different avenue. It will be Marmite. Some people have played pickleball, watched pickleball, breathed pickleball in a way for however many years, and it will be not their cup of tea. They're quite happy just playing pro-am tournaments or am tournaments, and they don't need it to be competitive. They don't need it to be a spectacle. That some people are craving it, and we get emails all the time super excited about the fact that it is different and they can get their teeth into it, and it's a new model. There's no brackets, there's no age. It is just who's the most talented or who's the most athletic in the room. And so I think it will be something new, and hopefully from that we can birth. That'll be my
one question I forgot to ask you, Ellie, is are you going to be having referees?
We are going to have refs for our placement matches. So for third and fourth spot and first and second. Right. And then in the knockout stages, there'll be line judges on hand. Right. So obviously players will ultimately, it's cool, but there will be there will be I mean, hey, I know from playing my dad that he thinks every ball I do is out. So we were like, no, I remember. I definitely remember we played a long time ago together. And then at this time, it was going to be self-police. And I was like, honestly, no. I was like, it can't, because if this is how people will play, and this is when I was just like quite new to playing the sport itself, I was like, if this is how people play, there will be a line judge. They'll be on hand if there is any dispute. Ultimately, it's there's money on the line. So,
true. Where are you at in your pickleball career then?
In my pickleball career, well, as a player, I'm definitely been very loose player. I've only just started playing a lot more frequently in the last 2-3 months.
So how many times a week are you able to play?
I'm only playing like 3 times a week at the moment. Wow. I've really got the pickleball bug at the moment.
Do you have a racket background?
No. I always played like netball, like ball sports, but definitely not with rackets. I remember getting kicked off my tennis team in primary school because I was that bad. And I think I still to this day can't play tennis, but pickleball, I'm also really small. I am 5'2", and I don't know, there's just, I feel a lot more like pocket rocket. I feel a lot more nippier in pickleball, and in tennis I just feel a bit like dyspraxic and don't really know like what to do. But I
You've
find
got high hopes.
Huh?
You've got high hopes.
No. My partner, he used to play quite competitively with squash, and when he joined the family as such, when we started dating, and then suddenly realized that my dad plays pickleball, I was like, I've got to beat him at it. So I was like, okay, well, I'll teach you so you can like make an effort with him. And now he's like, I would really like to enter mixed doubles with you. So he's trying to.
Why do you not want to stay together?
I mean, as a team,
he doesn't love you anymore.
No, that's it. Yeah, I'm gonna go play with someone else. Sorry, you're not cutting it. So he'd like to play more competitively, but kind of wants to do it, you know, as a team. So he's like, right, you know, you need to take it seriously now. So I'm attempting, but it will always be an amateur journey for me.
Yeah.
We'll never go further.
So will you be at the Open?
No, I'll be at the Open, like just there, you know, to see people, but definitely as like a representative / just to enjoy people playing rather than competing myself.
Well, once you see us play, you're just going to want to
and I'll be starstruck.
You will. If you want comedy value, then come and watch us play.
Look, I think again, this is something not to bring it back to ONE Pickleball, but for me, with the athlete liaison part of the tournament, is I want all of like the interviews, our commentary, our post-production, a little bit in our pre-production, because we've been doing that on social media a little bit. But I want to hear about the athlete stories. I want, like, I know Carolina, she's hilarious. She's obsessed with fast motorcycles. And I think, brilliant. I would never have known that she is such a daredevil, but then it does make sense because when she plays on the court, she is just such a Polish powerhouse. And she is so fiery, and that actually does make sense. And I want to hear about all of those things. So it's been a big like mission in our scope of work that all of the interviews or commentary or anything that we kind of start saying about players will be about their background, because I feel like from the sport in comparison to other sports, that's what's missing. So bring the comedy, bring the flair, be known as that duo, because I think that's way more exciting. It's just way more exciting.
Well, before we wrap up, just give it one big push. Tell us how people can get tickets, how much they are, the website. Just this is your moment.
Do it. Everybody come to the ONE Pickleball GP 2025. See it live, feel it live, hear it live. Tickets are only £15, and anyone under 16 and under can come free. So bring the family, bring the kids, introduce people to see pickleball. It is a full day of an amazing lineup, whether that's the 40 main athletes in the GP or 20 under ones who are like the next generation. There's hot food, drinks, DJ, music, interviews, and just epic pickleball play. And I think
really cool.
I'm really excited for the
come along and just also experience it a bit different, even if you only come for an hour.
And also, we can't actually come because we're winning a medal at another tournament in preparation for the Open. So how can everybody else watch it?
Yes. So we're gonna live stream our final matches, just because I do think sometimes 9 hours of live streaming can be quite repetitive. So we're going to live stream all of our final matches on the day, both on website and on all social media platforms. You'll be uploaded with like each link to the finals live stream, and during the day you'll be told the progression of where everyone is, so who will actually be competing who in the final matches, so you can go, oh, can't wait to see Molly compete against Ellie, for example, or whatever. And I'll tune into that one. So it will be very clear across the boards and presented to everyone for them to tune in if you can't attend.
Well, we'll be watching on court while we're playing.
Yeah.
We'll be watching and playing at the same time. Ellie, thank you so much for coming on.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure to talk to you. Very exciting times for ONE Pickleball, and we'll be watching this space, and maybe we'll get you on for a debrief afterwards. So.
And I'll be like this. Oh,
you'll be like us.
Chaos. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, and good luck with it.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you soon.